Hello, people of the world watching new vehicle reviews on the internet. Welcome to this, the 2025 Nissan Z, finished in Bayside Blue Metallic. Even though this car came out in 2023, I don't know about you, but I have yet to see one driving out in the wild. In fact, the only one I've seen so far is the ones I've reviewed. So today I'm gonna get it up in the air, we're gonna nerd out in tech specs, see how it's constructed, and then go give it the beans. Alright, first things first. I don't know how many times I pushed on this screw right here trying to pop the hatch. It's actually up in the Nissan Burger. A single muffler dual outlet exhaust. Stainless steel in construction, manufactured by Calsonic Kansai in Japan. There's a little recovery / tie down point bolted to the frame rail right here. It protrudes just a little bit below the bumper so you don't hit it with the strap. Out back, the Nissan Z utilizes a multi-link rear suspension configuration, most of which is constructed out of aluminium to include the lower spring bucket, the upper arm, as well as the knuckle assembly. Everything else is tubular steel to include this brace going to the rear diff. And speaking of these rear braces, this is an area that Nissan has continuously improved over the past couple generations of Z. As the Z33 generation, it was a known complaint that these rear subframe bushings would blow out over time with repeated hard launches. The differential itself on this performance model is a 1.5-way limited slip with a 3.38 final drive ratio. It's paired with a set of Takiko branded rear dampers. The spring is divorced. They just couldn't work things out. That joke is so stupid, but I always laugh at it. Rear anti-sway bar measures in at approximately 26 millimeter and change diameter. The 2025 Nissan Z, chassis code RZ34, is built on the FM platform, which is the same platform the 370 and 350Z were based upon. And this performance model to 6-speed manual weighs in at 3,536 pounds, which is about 50 pounds heavier than the base model with a manual transmission. Because there's so much going on in the rear diff and suspension department, the exhaust routing decision is interesting. Essentially going into an H pipe, each one measures in at approximately 45 millimeter and change diameter, or approximately 1 3/4 inch SAE. Combined at the H pipe, that's giving you about 63 millimeter and change diameter, or about 2.5 inch SAE. Single piece drive shaft, and albeit painted black, it's still textured like it may actually be carbon fiber like the previous generations had. This guy right here is the W brace, manufactured out of steel with the holes made in them for extra strength and to add lightness. Now if you look at my 83 280ZX, you can see a similar type of brace located at the rear of the car. Moving up front, you got a steel transmission crossmember, massive aluminium engine crossmember, and someone is still painting the cat's green. Stop painting your cat's green, Nissan. That area right there is where the actual shift lever comes up out of the center of the car, and the transmission ends up here. So you notice there's this little aluminium frame that goes around to give you more of a rigid shifter feel. You can see where the shift linkage rod goes into the tail of the transmission right here. As far as the transmission goes, well, you can get this with an optional 9-speed auto, which is the only transmission available in the Nismo model, sadly. This one is equipped with a 6-speed manual transmission. It is the FS6R31A. This one does have a synchro rev match feature, which can be deactivated, as well as launch control. Now, when I first reviewed this car, I had a lot of people wondering if this is the same transmission model that is utilized in the 350 and the 370Z or the CD009. It is not. It is actually completely redone for the RZ34, has improved first and second gear synchros, and the housing area up here by the clutch is physically larger to house a larger exity sourced clutch. Just above that aluminium subframe, you can see the steering rack right here, and then moving up, you can see where the exhaust goes up to the rear of the turbo. It's kind of cramped up inside there, but a lot of it has to do with the cats and the downpipes taking up space. As is with the driver's side, you can see the shaft going up to the steering column right there and the back side of the turbo. I can't really get my camera up inside there, but accessing the top bell housing bolts, if you were to pull the transmission into a clutch, actually doesn't look too bad on this car. Up front, you have a double wishbone suspension configuration, all of which is comprised out of aluminum to include the subframe. Just like the rear, everything up front is essentially constructed out of aluminum. You can see the lower ball joint is pressed into that lower wishbone. And again, up front, it is paired with a set of Takiko monotube coilover strut assembly front dampers, which interestingly enough is the same suspension manufacturer that was utilized in my S130 chassis Datsun 280ZX back in 1983. Front anti-sway bar measures in at approximately 26 millimeter in change diameter. You know, for the price that this car starts at, this is pretty top shelf materials utilized in the construction of this vehicle. Time for the braking test. Nothing behind me. Ready, set, go. Okay. That was just so smooth. Excellent stopping distance. Very just stable, smooth, nice. People of the internet, it has begun. The giveaway on my 1983 Datsun 280ZX. There's no purchase necessary to enter or win. The full rules and details are listed on my website, sarentuned.com, where you can also subsequently go to purchase merchandise or RoboBubble detailing products. Every dollar you spend there will gain you an entry to win either this car or a cash-only prize option in case you don't want the car. That braking was just made possible thanks to a 4-piston Akebono caliper with a 356 millimeter or 14-inch front rotor. The wheels on this performance model are a 19 by 9.5 forged monoblock by Raise Engineering of Japan alloy wrapped in a set of 255 40 19-inch Bridgestone Potenza S007 tires. Inner fender liners are plastic. You can see the upper aluminum wishbone, and ride height is less than a foam finger. Also kind of hard to tell on camera, but the grille is gloss gunmetal, just like the wheels. At the very bottom of the grille opening right here, you can see the power steering cooler faces downward. Remember those vents under the car? Yeah, that's what they're for. You can see the power steering cooler right there. Also worth pointing out, you can see that they put a little removable plastic grate in front of the radiator, as well as the lower portion of the water to air charge cooler to help protect the fins. That's what those coolant hoses right there are going to. It's interesting they located that up front still. Very similar tow hook mounting location to the old 350Z. Out back, you got some hairy carpet inner fender liners. Similar ride height to the front. While it's not a Watanabe, it's definitely giving Devil Z vibes, the Bayside blue and the gunmetal. In the rear, you go down to a 2-piston Akebono caliper with a 350 millimeter or 13.8 inch rotor. The wheels, they are staggered. You step up to a 19 by 10 forged monoblock Raise Engineering wheel wrapped in a 275 35 19-inch Bridgestone Potenza S007 tire. In the name of science, it is now time to give it the beans. First, assessment of bolstering. Perfect bolstering. The seats are heated, center buttons just like the past gens. Same with the seat controls, also in the center. This one has the blue leather and suede Alcantara interior. Love the color of this seat. I don't know with the blue exterior, it might be a lot of blue for some people. As far as drive modes go, I have a button right next to the shifter with an S on it. That engages the auto rev match shifting feature. To the left of the steering wheel, I also have another button to defeat the traction control. The gauge cluster is a full digital display. It's customizable with 3 different styles of menu you can look at: sport, normal, or enhanced. While the shifter feel isn't bad in this car, it is one area that could use a little improvement. I would say if they had a Nismo part catalog shift kit for it, that would be acceptable. Now this does also have launch control, which I'll give it a shot. And then I can use my cruise control buttons to select the RPM for launch control. Okay, got it set. I'll try just about 5,000 RPM. I don't know, the tires are cold, so it might not launch very well. And let's see what this can do. Ready? Go. Nope. Man, this thing rips. It's your 3rd gear. That's good. This thing rips. I launched this thing thing just over 5,000 RPM. I probably could have went up to like 5,500, maybe a little higher, and it wouldn't have bogged. But tires are cold either way. It's not a prep surface. Quick pop. Light enough. Oh, it's clear coated in the engine bay. That right there is probably one of the nicest paint jobs in an engine bay I have seen on a new car in quite some time. Underneath the head of the 2025 Nissan Z is the VR30 DDTT, which is an all aluminum 4-cam twin turbocharged 3-liter V6 that produces 400 horsepower at 6,400 RPM and 350 pound-feet of torque from 1,600 to 5,600 RPM. Like the whole power band pretty much. While ease of maintenance in the engine bay is a little tight, what's wild is just how much space is underneath the snout up here on the front of the car. I mean, there is a ton of space up here for all the heat exchangers. Digging a little bit deeper on this 2,997cc turbocharged V6, it is part of a family of 3 engines, the VR30, 35, and 38. 35 found in the new Nissan Armada, and the 38 was formerly found in the old Nissan GTR. Now, this is perfectly squared at an 86 by 86 millimeter bore and stroke with a 10.3:1 compression ratio. Moving up to the cylinder heads, it employs Nissan's continuous variable valve timing on intake and exhaust cams. The intake cams are electronically controlled. The exhaust cams are hydraulically controlled. The exhaust manifolds are cast directly into the cylinder heads where each one of the turbochargers are mounted up to, which you can't really see. They're tucked down inside there. And what you can see though up top is that water to air charge cooler. There are 2 of them. There's another one over here on the driver's side. There are also dual air boxes, which was first adopted on the VQ35HR on the 2007-2008 Nissan 350Z. Just like those former Z generations, the battery as well as the brake master cylinder are located behind these little doors, which if I open, you can see it still does use a traditional brake booster. The clutch master cylinder is right next to it, easy to access for maintenance. You got a robot buffet of electronics stuffed down behind this airbox, the ECU as well as some other stuff. Super thin strut tower brace to be able to clear the top of the engine cover. Beans. Get it. Oh, it's so good. So good. It's a little shifty. That end gets squirrely on this thing. Sounds so good too. Now, handling wise, it's 3,500 pounds. I would have liked to see this thing down like 32, 33. I think that would be perfect, especially at this power level. But it's not bad. The Nismo does make a big difference in the handling over this performance model. That was extremely noticeable. Dipping into this bend. Don't mind my water bottle falling around on the passenger floor. Oh yeah, it puts a smile on your face. It definitely feels like this platform is kind of reaching its upper limits of how much power it can handle over bumps. Nice. It's smooth actually. You don't feel all of the tiny little imperfections in the road. The suspension's actually somewhat forgiving in that aspect, but yet still very performance oriented. It's a nice balance. It'd be nice to see a Nismo like S-Tune or Z-Tune coilover from the factory as an option for this. There might be in Japan, I don't know. I don't really use the S mode very often because I don't want it to rev match for me. So I'm actually going to enable that. And let's see, I'm going to push in the clutch and go to downshift. I mean, it does the job nicely. Well, that doesn't get old. It's an adequate power level for this. I mean, yeah, it would be enticing to want to tune it and upgrade the turbos and all that stuff and see how much more power you can make out of it. But honestly, it feels right just at this power level. It is 400 to even on the Nismo 420 horse. That's just like the sweet spot I feel for this. It just makes it an overall enjoyable car because it's got so much torque everywhere. It makes it feel faster than it actually is. It's a very enjoyable power band. And it's crazy that the VR30 being twin turboed on the inside of the car still has that same kind of harmonic hum that the 370 and 350 made, which were naturally aspirated. It still has that same sound to it. I feel this is another vehicle, and I've said this on a couple other cars before, that you could easily ruin the car with the wrong modifications. It's really good out of the box. With that smaller diameter piping, you can hear the air rushing underneath you coming out the tailpipe. I think they did that too because with this thing having the exhaust manifolds cast directly into the head, it might have some rasp if you were to put a louder exhaust on it. That's probably also why they use an H pipe. If you compare this against its main rival, the Supra, which I really enjoyed that car as well, the biggest criticism it gets is the fact that it is essentially a rebadged BMW. There are some elements that Toyota did design on their own. And if Nissan ends up merging with another Japanese car company to survive, whether it be a Honda merger, I don't think it'll get as much flack for that because it's staying Japanese. Same thing with the next generation Supra. There are talks that might be a merger with Mazda and use a Mazda straight six. And I think a lot of people will be a fan of that because Mazda builds excellent vehicles too. So I don't think mergers are all that bad. As long as you want a Japanese sports car, you're still gonna get a Japanese sports car. When it's mixing, I don't know, it's kind of like if you mixed a Ford and a Ferrari. That would probably piss a lot of people off. As far as the hutch goes, it's inside the burger. Squeeze on the condiments. First aid kit and cargo net, both of which are Velcro. Honestly, I feel like they should have just named this the 300Z. Who cares if they used the name before? It just would fit. Illuminating door sill. Normally this is the part where I sit in the back seat of a car during a car review and talk about stuff back there, but this is a two-seater and I don't really know what to do with myself right now. It's a little plastic Z logo on the floor mats. And I got the seat all the way back. It's comfy, but there is restricted foot room up here just compared to the driver's side, which is common sense. There's little storage areas behind the seats though. I kind of wish they would go back to putting the subwoofer behind the driver's seat. There's a glove box behind the passenger seat. That's kind of neat. A front license plate bracket with a Z on it in case you want to ruin your front bumper cover. Don't drill holes in your bumper cover, people. The blue leather carries on to the dash as well. Has the blue Alcantara suede on the door cards as well. Black leather up here. Thankfully, still has a mechanical rip-it parking brake. Thankfully, it still has physical dials for the climate control system. It's not built into the infotainment system, very similar to the dials in the previous generations of Z. There is a slot for a phone and some places to charge it. There is no wireless phone charge pad though. The center armrest is neat. It slides. It's got some heft to it too, feels solid. And then it pops up and reveals the hidden cup holder. Aluminium pedal covers. A lot of people hate on piano black surfaces in car reviews, but I actually like it here on the steering wheel. It just looks good. Because it's a Z car, it's got the tri-gauge cluster on top of the dash with your boost pressure, turbine speed, as well as battery voltage. It does have physical buttons down below, which is a huge plus. The menu itself is fairly basic. There's not a lot to it. It does have factory navigation. It's a little old school looking, but it gets the job done. The Bose sound system that's in here sounds a lot like the past two generations of Z's Bose sound system. It's not very extreme in any area. It doesn't have super crisp highs or very deep bass. It's just very mid. Supposedly this car is selling like absolute hotcakes this year. I don't really know if hotcakes sell in high volume. And maybe the McDonald's hotcakes, is that what they refer to when they say selling like hotcakes? That sounds really tasty right now. Anyway, these things are selling quite a bit now, and that's a good thing because I've been sad that you haven't seen any of these driving around the road, and I thoroughly enjoy this car, the Nismo model and this one. It is kind of a letdown that the Nismo doesn't come with a manual transmission, although the 9-speed auto in it was really good. I still think it's a missed opportunity to not offer that with a manual. The performance you get for the money on this car is just an absolute steal, especially if you compare it to something like a Mustang GT, where those you can't really get under $50,000, and you can get this with 400 horsepower in the low 40s. The sport model, to me, as someone that likes to modify cars, is more appealing, even though I really like the Raise Engineering wheels and the Akebono brakes. And that leads me to this car's biggest strong point, the fact that it is on an aging platform. I heard so many people complain when it first came out that that was a downfall, but no one that's ever worked on a car has complained about something being on an aging platform. That means that there has been 2 decades now of bugs and kinks worked out on this and just refined to give you the best possible Z you can get. And that is what is appealing to me about this and why it stands out to me over the Toyota Supra. Fuel economy for the amount of performance you get is amazing. This is about the same fuel economy I averaged back when I had a 350Z when those first came out. And value-wise, if you compare this against a 350Z when those first came out, it's a steal. They're doing it right by offering plenty of fun colors on this. They also had the anniversary edition in orange, which I have not seen any of those in person either. I think the whole reason why they didn't sell a lot of these when they first launched had nothing to do with the actual product itself. I think it's just the times we live in and also the car market, just kind of a bad combination of things. Dealerships marking up prices to such high levels where people are like, screw that, and they just don't even bother buying the car. Either way, the car itself is one of my favorite vehicles that I reviewed today and is one I seriously would consider owning myself. I think they knocked it out of the park with the new Z. It is now time to give this Z some scores. Starting with the bean score, the assessment of the feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And it's getting a rating of. Next is the cookie score, the assessment of value, and as this performance model with some options added to it in the low 50s is concerned, it gets a rating of. Next is the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance, and it's getting a rating of. Followed by the squid score, the assessment of handling, and it gets a rating of. Lastly is the penguin score, the assessment on how much I personally like a vehicle, and the Z right here gets a rating of. If I personally were to buy a new performance car right now, I would be torn between this and the GR4 Corolla, and I really don't know which way I would go. I don't. They're very different. They're not even comparable. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye.